I'm Brandon.
And I'm Jesse.
We're Cannabis School. Having cannabis-infused conversations
With everyday people,
cannabis companies,
celebrities,
and your mom.
welcome to the Sesh.
So you two guys are getting involved in the political scene. So last time,
Yeah.
so nobody probably knows this, but the Utah Cannabis Medical
Advisory Board?
Yeah, is that what it is?
I don't know.
Utah Medical Cannabis Policy Advisory Board.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it
Oh,
was.
okay.
Yeah. And you two attended your first
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah. That was
Okay,
awesome.
so talk to me about that. Why last week? What brought you to the meeting?
Well, we had made friends with Nareth over at
Dragonfly.
and he's like, you guys have got this voice that you guys really need to be getting in Utah and doing as much as you can. So he dropped us a text message, says, hey.
Well, he told us what was going on. They're like, hey, the UDAF is trying to actually make laws or restrictions around
The names.
having the ability to change names of
Yeah.
strains and that. And
Mhm.
and he was like, I think that both of you should potentially be on this. And I was like, yeah, that would be an amazing place to be on. Thanks for sending the link. We'll be there.
Yeah.
Because the idea and concept that like, hey, we have this new kid on the block who's showing up going, oh man, these names are scary or offensive or we just don't like them. Whatever it is, this is a global market. You just got introduced into this market and you're like, oh, I don't like these names. Okay, well, there needs to be patient consistency across the board.
Yeah, which there is not.
Yeah.
Which I can tell you, there is not consistency in products across the board.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Plain and simple.
Yep.
Period. Yeah.
But the naming thing, yes.
'Cause
So
I was like-
they were presenting
The seed
a
lines.
rule
Yeah.
where they were specifying these are names. For example, none of these names you can use in a strain, right?
Yeah. They're
And
trying to.
that- yeah.
Not realizing, even some of the stuff, other things that they discussed during that, like talking about QMPs and how they're not supposed to be able to
Oh, they're supposed
talk about products. And I'm like thinking, well,
Yeah.
why don't we just talk about the terpene profiles in depth with them, teach them about it in the most basic way.
But
It's like, these are the strains that you're looking for if you've had pain
Yeah.
or if it's whatever
Right.
you're
Well-
trying to address. These are
Mhm.
been known to help.
But again, and I mean, it sucks because it's a market of different companies.
Right.
But as a patient, if one medication is more effective than the other, and unfortunately that medication comes from a specific cultivar, as a
Yeah.
QNP, shouldn't you be able to go, hey, this has been the most effective for these types of people?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That is
So
any
hold
other.
So hold that thought because we need to talk about rescheduling and how
Yeah.
that particular thing, what you're exactly saying, me as a QMP, as a provider who takes care of patients, who goes in and tries to tell somebody, hey, what I recommend is actually you take this product. So that act right there, recommending a certain product,
Yeah.
violates federal law.
Yeah. Because they're like, oh, you can't do that. And you're like,
Because you're telling somebody what Schedule 1 drug to take.
Right.
You're recommending they go take a Schedule 1 drug. That little thing, that last little thing,
yeah,
is a
it's
violation of federal
ludicrous.
law. But the naming thing, so back to this point of I'm going to be a patient. I live in Nevada where I can get Jack Herrera all day long,
Yeah.
right? I come here or like pick pink Skittles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Because maybe that is a name that in Utah they're like, well, Skittles.
it's candy
that's
and
candy,
that's appealing
so
to
that's
kids.
Exactly appealing
But that's
to
the thing
children.
I thought about too. And it's like, so it's appealing to kids. So they take it out of here. But how many kids truly, if they're utilizing the product, are utilizing a Utah product? Because most kids, if I'm going to guess that they're getting it, are getting it from out-of-state people because it's way cheaper, or from legacy market, again, because it's way cheaper and that's
Yeah.
all over. So they're going to not see whatever Utah name is made anyway. They're going to see the Skittles and all of that.
Yeah, they're not going to.
But it doesn't matter what
Exactly.
we do because the names that they change only affect the patients at the pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
And those patients at the pharmacy need that consistency because, like you said, maybe they're in Nevada. People move all the
Right.
time.
Yeah.
People come here and they can still get a temporary out-of-state card of like, hey,
Sure.
this is my qualifying condition. I meet your conditions, but this is the medicine that has worked for me in Washington, Nevada, California, everywhere else around the globe that uses the exact same genetic lines and
Mhm.
same seeds going, this seed, if you grow it in this exact same humidity, everything,
Sure.
if you could mimic that exact same condition 100%, you could replicate the genetic plant.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen. So technically, it should be the exact same name across the board as long as that seedling, like you don't change the name of Roma tomatoes. Like, well, this
No, yeah.
this Roma tomato is this. Like, who cares?
No, it's a Roma tomato.
Yes, and it's been
Yeah,
around
we
that way
talked
for
Yeah.
forever.
You can't-
Tomatoes
you
are
can't-
like the best corollary to cannabis.
Yeah, totally.
Because you have and
Heirloom
I use this with
tomatoes.
all the you have heirloom tomatoes, you have vine ripened tomatoes,
yeah.
you also have ketchup,
Yep.
Yep.
right?
Cherry tomatoes. Like, there's all these different variations, and then you get into colors, and then the colors
Right.
within tomatoes and that, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay.
And in different regions and
Yeah.
how it's
Right.
changed over time.
Sure.
It hasn't looked like the ones we have today.
Mhm.
Like it's so ridiculous to continuously come back to that. And it's a straw man's argument because it's not bedded in reality. You know, with cannabis consumption going down with youth, a lot of it just has to do with the changing of the times. And
Yeah.
it not only that, the kids are not they're not getting THC, but they're getting Delta 8 brought in by one of their friends.
THCA,
Yeah.
Delta 9, like
Exactly. And so they're getting these products anyways, but the thing is we're not seeing this crazy wave of violence or rape or bad things
No.
happening. You know, if anything, it's just like, I mean, my son, he's experimented, but he's told me about it. And I've always been like, dude, I'm not really cool about it. Like I'm not the dad who's like, hey man, you can smoke pot as long as it's in my house. Like,
Right. That's not your style. That wouldn't be my
Yeah.
style either,
No.
right? Like this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Your brain's not developed. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go ahead and say no to
Yeah.
this. And I'm also going to acknowledge that you're old enough to get it and do these things outside of my
on your own.
purview,
Yeah.
right? Like on your own.
Yeah.
So
but
it's the old when mom told you, look, I can't afford to raise your child. So if you're man enough to do it, you better be man enough to go to the gas station and buy a condom.
Right.
It's
That's
so
beautiful.
true. It's so
Yeah.
true, man. I mean,
Yeah.
but because I've had that relationship with my son, because I've been very open about my cannabis consumption, all of my kids know it.
Yeah.
From my 8-year-old up to my 17-year-old. And when my son, one time, his friend gave him an edible at school, thinking
Oh,
that was
yeah.
cool.
Wow.
And it was a
Oh,
Kush
yeah.
cube, and it was like 100 milligrams. And he had no idea. And he just pops in his mouth. His friend's like, this is awesome. He goes, he calls me on his phone. He says, Dad, I'm not okay. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, I had an edible. And I said, say no more. I'll be at your school.
Oh, but
And
it was just in the ramping period. It
Yeah.
was still starting.
It was bad
Yeah.
because when I got there, when he called me, he was okay. When I got there, he was pale.
Yeah.
And he's like, everything is like expanding and contracting. And I'm like, yeah. I just checked him out. And I took
Oh,
him
yeah.
home, loaded him up with CBD, gave him some lemon juice. He started to come down in about an hour. He was feeling okay.
Yeah.
Gave him some more lemon juice. That helped him quite a bit. The next day, he was a big blubbering mess. He was just super emotional. And I'm
Yeah.
like, see, this is why you don't take a lot. It's not a fun idea. This is going, and we've talked about that all the time with edibles. It's just like, take your time going into it. You don't need to eat the entire piece if you're new to this game. That's like getting your license and then your dad goes, here's a Ferrari.
Right.
Have a good time.
Right.
And you're like, okay, cool.
Or your permit, I guess.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Get get
Before your
permit.
license, it's, hey, here's your permit. I picked you up in the Lamborghini. You want to drive us around?
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Like,
Don't worry
I'm
about
gonna-
the gears and all that.
Don't worry about this. It's fine.
If you hear
Yeah.
grinding, just keep going. That just means it's going faster. Right. But I mean,
you're never driving my standard.
but the thing it's so ridiculous is that straw man argument is always going back to, well, what about the kids? Like, really? Like, I would,
Yeah.
if we were going to go comparison to comparison, I'd rather catch my kid smoking a little bit of pot
Than drinking.
than puffing on those on the nicotine vapes.
Oh,
like
yeah.
crazy.
Or
Yeah,
even
and let's go
regulated
back to the-
cannabis. I would much rather know that if they're getting cannabis, that it doesn't have all the other crap.
Yes.
Because again, like you said, you see that your kids can be doing it. They can get access to it at all these other places. Your kid
Easy.
got it at school from a friend.
Kush cubes, everything, right?
Yeah.
My
That's a
kids
really
in
good example.
Texas,
of,
Michigan, all over, and they've been like, yeah, I've got friends who are using it. And I'm like, hey, and we have honest talks. 'Cause I'm like, you haven't tried that, right? And I'm like, it's not that I'm worried about you consuming cannabis. It's more that I'm concerned about what is in the cannabis you're consuming.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, like, there are so many different things on the science, the study about children, their minds, all of that. But I'm not telling my kids to use it. I don't want my kids to use it at this age. But if they're out trying to do it with friends, I want to know way more that like what they're putting in their body is safe.
Sure, no.
But at the same time, I'm happy to hear that my oldest is like, yeah, it doesn't like, I don't want to try that right now. It's not something that they're seeking out or trying to utilize, even though they have other friends and other people that still use it in their life. But I think that comes from education.
And I think that's rather than regulate the names, rather than regulate trying to get it, trying to keep it from kids' view,
Yeah.
right? Because you can't bring a kid in. Like I can take my kid to the liquor store,
Yeah.
but you can't bring your child into the dispensary.
Because that would be bad.
Well, it'd
because that
normalize
would
the
be bad,
medicine.
right? That would normalize. That would be.
But that's the weird
But
thing.
that's the thing is
It's a medicine
you have to
here.
educating the kid does much, much more than trying to restrict the naming convention.
Right.
We're just keeping it hidden from them.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of goes back to this comedian back in the 90s. He was talking about, if we had magazines like if women only wore hats and no bras or shirts, we would only be concerned of what's underneath that hat.
Yes.
If something is out of sight, I want to know what it is.
Yep.
Like, tell me what it is. And when parents are like, no, you can't know about this.
Yeah, kids
I
want to
don't
know
want
about
to
it
know.
more. They're going to go try and find it. What's mom and dad hiding? Like, why can't I know about
Right.
this?
Yeah, it's very normal.
How many parents are in there going, crap, I hurt. You can't see me take Tylenol. You can't see me take this. Oh, I'm sick. You can't see me take like NyQuil or whatever.
Mhm.
Who is hiding their medicine? Who is hiding their medicine use from their kids or going, hey, you're sick. This medicine helps me with this. So if it's like any
Yeah.
other thing we're teaching our kids, shouldn't it be that way? Hey, this medicine is used for this. You don't need that right now because you don't have
Sure.
these needs.
Here are the rules.
Yeah.
I have a daughter who plays college. You've got NCAA rules. You've got
Mhm.
all of these things. And, so the education is around why would you choose to do this if the rules of your sport like restrict it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like here are the consequences of getting caught. Here are the consequences of using it or not using it. Here's how long it stays in your system. Like,
What are the benefits to the risks of what you're doing? Is it worth it?
I get that it's everywhere on campus. Everybody's using it. She's got teammates who, hit their vape all the time.
Yeah.
And so she's got to make a decision. But an educated decision is much better because
Yes.
I would guess she's one of the only people on the team who understands like the whole concept,
Yeah. Well, it's interesting.
especially
right?
here
Yeah.
in Utah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's like my oldest. They're incredibly smart. They research all this stuff. We have really deep conversations, but they understand how it interacts with the body, what it does, like everything with the receptors. They understand that, but yet they're one to not be jumping into it. And as I'm sure your kid is.
Yeah.
Like the more
I
you
think
understand.
they're more likely to not get into it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or use it responsibly if
Yes.
they're experimenting with it or things
Approach
like
it from
that,
a
right?
respectful manner of like, hey,
Yes.
I'm using it for this because I've learned that this can help in this value. I just need to,
Sure.
maybe specific dosing, specific terpenes or cannabinoid profiles that benefit. Maybe it's more higher CBD or
Yeah.
CBN
I mean,
or
we're giving our kids
CBG.
CBD.
yeah.
Oh, you've got something going on. You're not sleeping well. Okay. Here's a product that is safe. You can take it. It will help make my son broke his tibia a
man.
year ago.
Yeah.
Ran into the back of a parked truck
Oh,
on a one wheel doing about
Oh.
15 miles an hour.
oh,
Okay. Broke
poor
the tibia
kid.
fibula right in the mid shaft. Had to have it reset in clinic.
oh,
Yeah.
Poor
it
kid.
was
How old is
broke.
he?
He's
on a one
15.
wheel.
He was 15.
oh,
So he's riding the one
shit.
wheel and he's riding it home to and from dance every day. To and from dance.
Yeah.
No problem. We live a few blocks from the studio. And
Oh.
so it's like 9:00 at night. maybe a little bit earlier. Sun's just going down. He turns his head to look at the sky, turns around, bam, smacks right into the thing, laying on the road, screaming, calls me. So, yeah.
That sounds
It was
so bad.
It was so bad.
Ugh.
So he has to get it straightened out. So
Mhm.
I'm taking him down there. I gave him, I remember I gave him 1 Norco. I gave him 800 milligrams of ibuprofen, 90 milligrams of CBD.
I got a dab just thinking about
Right,
this. This is
right. So that we could go to the clinic because I know they're going to have to straighten it out.
Yeah.
2 men are pushing on this leg to get it to straighten out.
Oh,
He's like looking at me, kind of chuckling, and tears are in his eyes, but he's kind of chuckling, and he says, this hurts so bad, I don't know what to do. And they straighten it out, they cast it, they take the x-ray, it's not quite straight, so he's like, well, I'm a dancer, you've got to get it straight.
Yeah.
So we got to do this again. So they cut the cast off, get the guys in there again. They're like, okay, one more big push, straighten it out. And they left there saying, look, we do this pretty frequently, and we have never had to push on a leg this hard and actually had somebody tolerate it.
Yeah.
And
without passing
out, right? He's like, what did you give him? So I told him, and I explained kind of what I do.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know that there's any evidence for what that is, but whatever it is, it worked. He's like, that's pretty legit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's why the podcast is doing better and better and better, because we're normalizing these conversations. You're being able to see us in real time, how we're reacting to the strain. And we're giving you that quick feedback of, this is what I'm experiencing. This is what you could experience. But we're not being stupid. We have intelligent conversations.
So even like
most
the
of
name
the
thing.
time.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Well, certainly it's a bell curve, right?
Some are goofier.
Of
Some are
course.
like really silly strains, and then others are like incredibly focused, really good like work productivity strains or like self-reflection strains.
I can't wait till I can come back on that. This NASDAQ thing is, and the regulations and the compliance have really come down.
Yeah.
Let's dive into it.
It's not necessarily a warm blanket, let's just say.
All right, we'll go into it, man. Tell us what's changed everything for...
Last time you were here, you had just introduced KindlyMD.
Oh,
the Kindly was a new thing.
That's right. So we went from UtahMarijuana.org and
Yeah.
Utah Therapeutic Health Center, right, the clinic side, to introducing KindlyMD as like this medical model. We're going to go get insurance. We're going to just blow this thing up in a legitimate way. So we got all that established. We then took 2 years to get to the NASDAQ.
You guys just recently went public.
Yeah, we went public. We raised some money. We trade on the NASDAQ. Great time to invest in KindlyMD because the stock is so volatile at the beginning, right after an IPO.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like crazy.
Yeah,
you
it's
do
nuts.
not want to open up the ticker symbol. Like as the company, like, let's just focus on the patients. Let's just do our job.
Yeah.
Let's not worry about that right now.
Yeah.
So we, so what has changed? So we now we still take care of more patients in Utah than anybody else in the medical cannabis program.
Really?
So we take care of about 20% of the patients who utilize legal medical cannabis here in Utah. We take care of about that many people. It's growing every month, but it is changing because we accept Select Health. We accept Blue Cross Blue Shield, Medicare, Medicaid, Cigna. So we are getting reimbursement from insurers to incorporate, even when, I should say, we incorporate a medical cannabis recommendation into the treatment plan. So cost-wise, so a patient can pay $150 cash price to come get an evaluation in their med card, or they can pay, in fact, we were just doing this yesterday, an average of $36 out of pocket to come get complete care using their insurance. And if we need to draw your cholesterol, we'll draw your labs. We'll manage your cholesterol, your blood pressure. We'll, your ADHD, your so that's one side. So the insurance reimbursement is huge. Although I guess I can't technically say we are the only medical company that's doing this, that's on the NASDAQ. We don't know of anybody else.
Okay.
I could say that.
You're unaware of any other.
Yeah, we're unaware of any other company trading on the NASDAQ that incorporates medical cannabis, that takes insurance, that
makes
integrates behavioral health care.
Are there any other states that you know of that accept insurance even within medical programs? Because
no,
I don't.
No,
but
this is a new thing.
That's
And
not for the
we
medication though, right? That's
Correct.
just for the visit.
Yes.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we're still not a medical cannabis company. We don't touch the plant.
Yeah.
We just do the recommendations and that piece. But we're openly incorporating it into our treatment plans. And we did go through an investigation and an audit from Select Health. So once you're on the panel, so there's a very high barrier to entry in what we do, right? It's not, certainly not for the faint of heart, because you've got to live with all these federal regulations. You've got to live with NASDAQ regulations and SEC regulations and all of that sort of stuff. That's like this high level. Then you have to deal with the state regulations on cannabis and recommending and the patient caps and all of that sort of stuff. And then you have to deal with the opioid prescribing regulations in every state, because we are now prescribing opioids to patients who want to reduce their opioid use.
Yeah.
So we're doing the taper, right? So now at the
Interesting.
same time, we're managing cannabis, we're managing opioids, and that's why we bring in the behavioral health piece. So when you come see us, we have a behavioral health clinician that will see the patients at the same time. So I see the patient, for example, or the clinician, right, the prescriber, and then the BHC will come see him for 15 minutes as well. We do that every month. So our outcomes are better.
Yeah. So with Utah having most of our, I would guess, people on our program coming from chronic pain lasting more than 2 weeks.
80 something percent, right?
What would you hypothesize or guess your percentage of people who are in that opioid treatment, or that you're having to, taper them down in that?
That's a good question. So we have been shifting from the cash pay model to the insurance model. So we've spent a lot of money and resources in developing that like infrastructure, because it's a lot more money
to have
for us. Like,
there's way more business infrastructure and stuff.
Yeah, the compliance and the billing and the coding and all of that sort of stuff for the reimbursement. So we have an increasing number of patients who fit that model. So what I say, I'm guessing that there are 30 or 40% of our patients in that model who came to us on some type of controlled substance
that they're trying to navigate.
And we know that 88% or almost 90% of our patients reduce the use of medications within 6 months in our program.
Yeah.
So we know the process works. And now as we see the shift, the insurance model is growing. People want to save money. They want to go be honest with their doctor.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We talked about this before.
As long as their doctor accepts it and they can have that honest conversation,
And we see a lot more patients who are really appreciative of the behavioral health piece. So, we're kind of this generation where we're still a little skeptical of talking about our feelings.
And mental health, right? and stuff.
And a lot of people don't want to go to a therapist, to a quote unquote therapist.
Yeah.
But if I have one in my clinic and you come and you're just going to get a normal annual wellness check, maybe I'll renew your med card, and I introduce you to our behavioral health person, you're like, it's no big deal.
I'm here already.
Yeah. It's only 15 minutes, right? We're not going to get into my deep trauma in 15 minutes. And that's not the point. But we introduce the concept, we revalidate people, and then they want to come back. Right?
Yeah.
They're like, wait, this actually worked out really well for me. So from pain, from opioids, from weight loss, you name it, from PTSD, the model really works. And that's so. Yes, it's working. We do have funding now, so we're looking for clinics to buy, and
So
expand.
let's go back a little bit and kind of understand, like, how is it that your company is on the NASDAQ? How did you guys go public? What is your offering?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
You say, how do you take a company that is small or like a
Yeah.
micro cap company, right?
Yeah.
The minimum market cap for a company to list on the NASDAQ is 20 million. So how can a small company with $4 million in revenue and, become this NASDAQ company? Well, it is possible. Obviously, as a bigger company, you would have more resources, and it would, as the CEO, I would say, yeah, that would be easier because I think that I wouldn't have had to do so much on my own. But you have to, you convince an investment bank to back you, and you start talking to investors. I mean, there's a lot of accounting stuff, and there's like an enormous amount of money you have to spend and resources you have to spend to get through the SEC process and the NASDAQ process. And we had to write this large legal opinion just to prove to the NASDAQ that we don't break federal law.
Yeah.
So we
qualify to be on that.
Yeah, we have a relationship with a huge legal firm back east that helped us develop an opinion that shows, yes, we don't money laundering and the Organized Crime Act and the Controlled Substances Act. And we do have a lot more compliance. So you get all of that together, you pass all of those things, and every time they come back with something new that's like, oh yeah, no, you can't do this. You need to spend another 50 grand.
Oh,
And it just drags on and
just
on.
greasing palms and making people smile.
Unbelievable.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The
And
mob has never left.
Yeah, except this is the regulatory.
Right.
It
That's
just
what I'm
sits
saying,
behind a
right?
different title now.
title.
Yeah,
yes.
you don't have guys over there, saying, go ahead, Tony, take out his knees.
Yeah, right? Break his
Right.
legs.
Yeah.
No, it's just
This
like,
is all
just
like-
charge him 50 grand. Like, can't you break my leg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about my tibia?
Sometimes you feel like, man, this is just, it would be easier.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
way
Just give me
easier.
physical
He's like, I
pain.
got CBD and Norco. I'm good.
Yeah. So you do that, and then you start talking to investors, right? So we raised about $1 million in friends and family and people that we know, people that are really committed to this. We raised another 5.8 million in investor groups through the roadshow, through all virtual now, but put all that together. And
So is that like a syndicate that's put into you guys, or is it
you
just...
basically sell shares.
Okay.
Not basically, you sell shares. You say, I'm gonna create 1 million shares. I'm gonna sell them for $5.50 a share.
Nice.
You're gonna buy these shares, and we're gonna take all that money and we're gonna put it on the market, right? Put the stock on the market, so now it trades up and down, and then we take that money and we execute our plan.
Yeah.
And our plan is to grow here in Utah, buy clinics, track the data. And really the data is kind of, right now, we've been working a lot on it this summer. It's really exciting because healthcare data is worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's very valuable from a patient care perspective, but no one has the cannabis piece. So there isn't a data set out there that says, here's the prescriptions that you take, here's the treatment that you get, here's all of your diagnoses, but here's also the cannabis you use, and then tracks you over time and says, oh, does the cannabis actually help you? Or is the cannabis not helping?
Yeah. What role does that play? in
Yeah,
your-
what role does
Are they
cannabis really
developing
play?
a dependence? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it really helping you get off of opioids? Because there are studies that show cannabis reduces pain, right? And cannabis combined with opioids reduces opioid use. That one is a little bit less proven, but we want to see, is our model actually really helping people? Because I was in the hospital for 7 years and there isn't an algorithm to use cannabis in the hospital.
Yeah.
So until there's an algorithm, no one's going to use it in the hospital.
Is there any hospital around the country? I've never heard of anyone using
There's no
cannabis.
hospital using cannabis.
Yeah.
And certainly it's regulation, right? They can't because it's Schedule 1. But even when it's Schedule 3, there still isn't going to be any use because there's no algorithm.
Yep.
I promise you, if there's no algorithm, we're not using it.
Because they don't
You
see
can-
any proof of it, so they're
yeah,
not
and
gonna.
you don't know what to use,
Yeah.
right? Are you going to give the kid? Are you going to give this 25-year-old woman 5 milligrams? You're going to give her 2?
And what terpene profile, what cannabinoid is
Exactly.
in there, like
Who's the manufacturer?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Are you going to give it to
exactly.
her inhaled? Are you going to just give it to her
Yeah.
oral?
Give her 1.5
Sublingual?
joints and
Yeah.
a pack of graham crackers.
Stat.
Right? So when I would
Yeah.
treat a patient with pancreatitis, yes, I'm a clinician who would understand, okay, I can give this patient X inhaled THC. I can choose a couple of different products. I can give them a little bit of narcotic for the pain. I can enhance those two, a little bit of Zofran, but I can reduce the use of the narcotics, help the appetite stay
At a normal
at
level.
a normal
yeah.
level. I can keep them from getting so constipated that they can't poop for 5 days. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But you need the algorithm. So the data, like it is really important. If we're going to make this thing legit,
We need more data.
we need that kind of data.
I like that because, from what you're explaining, and this is the offering, is that you're trying to be able to help this transition going over into more of a medicinal side instead of seeing it just as a recreational side. Is it bad to be able to do that? No, absolutely not.
No,
I
yeah.
think it's great if you're going to do that. But at the same time, what about all those people that have this? You're helping to legitimize for a lot of those people who have a morality stance that they're on. I can't use this because of my religion or where I live or
The
what.
perception.
Yeah,
The
the
perception.
perception.
Where I have to go buy it. I have to go
Yeah.
behind the beaded curtain into
Yeah.
the back of here. It smells funny. I'm not
Well, and if it
comfortable with
looks
that.
super hippie or something versus like,
Yeah.
hey,
That's
I usually
never
go to
the
the
feel.
pharmacy, there's a white coat, it's clean. I can go to Walgreens and pop in and get my prescription.
Yes.
For grandma or grandpa, is that way easier than it is to
Yeah.
go down to the dispensary where the Rastafarian man is in there and everyone smells like pot and there's pictures of, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah, they're
I
like
don't-
that. I don't want to go there.
no, it's not what
Grandma does not want to
they're
go
like, this
there.
doesn't feel like it's medicine or it's going to help me. This feels like drugs to them.
Yep.
And that's all they see when they see that.
Yep. But if you could give them a printout and say, you're going to do this. I mean, I get it. We're going to go back to this top-down approach of medicine. Like I'm going to suggest what you should take, but that's just a starting point.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
We know because we have experience with this, that the first few times you try it, you kind of do in a lot of ways. It's nice to have somebody there who's like, okay, take one puff of this.
Yeah. Wait.
That's
Sit
it.
with
That's
it.
all we're going to
Yeah.
do for a minute,
Yeah,
right? That's
exactly.
all we're going to do.
Well,
So
and
I
then
think-
checking in with you and going, all right, how do you feel?
How you feeling?
Because
Yes.
that is
Do
all
we
a
need a
doctor
little
does.
more?
But that's how, like, a good friend in cannabis is that same thing.
Yes.
But maybe they don't have the education and the science, hopefully, that we can have eventually behind that.
Well, and a lot of times the perception of education is going to come from, yeah, man, what's going on? Yeah, all right, yeah. My
Yep.
brother had that. All right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to get some Mountain Dew
yeah.
And some
Cheetos,
chips.
and
And
some
you're going to sit down, you're going to watch a show.
Dude,
Yeah.
and you just smoke that whole bowl. Don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
Don't worry
it's
about
just
it.
like,
just take this whole thing.
It's going to be okay.
But exactly, like how you can't get that with a lot of medications these days, where they're going to feel it immediately.
Yes.
And other than that little whistle that they give people for with EMTs, and they show up, you've seen those things. It's like pain.
Oh, yes.
It's like you just breathe on it, and then they just are loopy as all. They don't feel the pain anymore.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's not a narcotic. It's I don't even know what it's called, but
That's wild.
they'll give him this pen,
Huh.
and they just puff on it. Like this one kid, like freaking broke his femur, and he is just singing songs and laughing, and they've got him loading him up
gosh.
into the ambulance.
Yeah, like a ketamine
Yeah.
type drug.
Yes.
Right?
Weird.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's almost a psychedelic.
Yeah, and it just puts him in a euphoric, no pain state.
Huh. Like
Yeah.
instantly.
Yeah, it's really cool. But
Wow.
cannabis can have that effect.
Of course. Yeah. And we need to learn how to use it so that
Yeah.
we can legitimize it,
Well,
so we can bring it into the system. From the industry standpoint, they don't look like my experience with the industry, especially here in Utah and in other places, are they need the profits. They
Of
want the
course.
profits. They need the profits. So they're going the fastest direction they can and as fast as they can for the profits. And that's recreational. It's younger users with, high dollar transactions that are coming back frequently.
Yeah.
That isn't necessarily the patients that we're going for. We feel like the market that's being left aside is the legitimate medical side. They are not going to need a lot of product. They're going to purchase a few times a year.
And it's microdoses.
It's going to
or
be
little tiny
microdoses, little
things.
things. They're going to learn how to use it. But the number of people that are in that market that are untapped is 100 million.
Astronomical.
It's
Because
way bigger than the existing cannabis market.
it's
Oh,
every
yeah.
single one in my family who it's like they don't know, but if they could find that proper dose or proper device and proper method to not be high or feel displaced at all, but just take off anxiety or feel less pain or whatever it is, that they're like, well, I don't feel
Yes.
weird or, it's not going to
Or
affect
I'm at
me.
least used to it.
Yeah.
Like, that's another thing. I mean, we do a lot of education around, yes, you're going to get a little high. Yes, it's okay. Yes, you need to figure out what that feels like so you're not paranoid.
when you feel
Well,
it.
and,
You
and
know?
here are some ways to be able to counteract it. Like, I mean,
Yes.
if you take a pill and it's been 20 minutes and they're like, I don't like how the way this feels, like, let's go to the ER because that's what we're going to have to do.
It is true. I'm sure you talk a little bit about the semaglutide and the Mounjaro,
Yeah.
the tirzepatide stuff, right? You get patients on that and they have miserable side effects, and there isn't very many of them that want to quit.
You know
Yeah.
what? I'm on Trulicity right now for type 2 diabetes, and it's not for weight loss, but I will tell you that it's been great because I've been on this, dude. I have suffered from GERD for over 20 years. I've been taking these pump inhibitors.
Yeah. Proton pump inhibitors.
Yeah,
Yep,
I've been
forever.
proton. That's exactly it,
Yep.
forever. Because I've been on this.
Yeah.
I don't take it very often.
Is that the
anymore.
shot you get once a week?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the side effects, like everybody else is going to say, mild GI discomfort. Dude, I know what it's like to be a teenage girl getting your period now because the cramps are so intense
Yeah.
for about a month.
Yeah.
And then it starts to dissipate. Like usually I'll start getting sulfur burps like crazy, diarrhea constantly. And I've lost like 10 pounds just on it. But it's been better in a way where I'm eating better.
His blood sugars are like
Oh, yeah,
normal
your blood
levels.
sugar's all normal levels.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so the side effects of that drug, to compare, right? You would take cannabis and you might get a little high,
Exactly.
right? But you understand that the goal is to learn how to use it, get your body used to it.
Yep.
Right? The same with the tirzepatide. You use it, you're like, well, okay, I get this GI upset. I know it takes 3 weeks for the drug to like get balanced in my system. I'm not going to stop taking it.
Yeah.
So there is some education around like understanding, it's
But it's
okay to be a
normalizing
little
it.
high. You're normalizing it. Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
Because you're getting somewhere.
Right.
You're improving your health.
It's just
And
different for them because
yeah,
it's not something they're used to feeling.
no.
And it's like,
And it's something that
Yeah.
they grew up thinking,
Is
if
bad.
I'm high, I'm
bad.
Yeah.
bad.
and it's like, I don't want to be bad because if I'm
Yeah.
high, then I'm
Because
all
Uncle
these things
yeah.
that, I was
Yeah.
told high people are.
Uncle Mike is a loser.
Yep.
That's what you
Right.
don't want to be like.
No, you don't. But cannabis is such a, I don't know. I get excited talking to you guys about it because there's so many people still that just don't know that it could benefit them at low doses.
Right.
Right. And it has so many different uses. You've got Tylenol for the fever, you got ibuprofen for your inflammation, you got a tincture of cannabis oil for there's 10 things I could use it for.
Oh,
And I'm going to
tons,
have
yeah.
3 or 4 different tinctures with different terpene profiles and different cannabinoids and
different dosing.
different
Yeah.
dosing. I'm going to use a lot more when I have acute pain or something that's really bothering me.
Or,
I'm going to use less
oh
here.
yeah.
Right?
It doesn't. It's like medicines I used to use that I know if long-term use are not good for you.
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like bismuth. You're not supposed to be taking bismuth all the time. I've known friends that used to drink it daily because they'd get this bad GI.
Yep.
And that's not making it better. I mean, your insides are going to look like brushed metal pretty soon. It's just horrible what it does inside. But I haven't used anything like that. Like if I don't use Imodium or any of these other medications whenever I've got like real bad stomach GI problems, I smoke and
Oh,
it goes
100%.
away. I know a sativa strain that's going to help me with that. For me, I know that
Mhm.
sativa is going to help.
Yeah.
And I get immediate relief. My wife and my kids, we all went through like, remember that 1 month?
Dude, it was horrible.
It was like
kept
one-
rotating through
Yeah.
your house. I felt
Yeah.
like
Constantly. Like, and we would be down for like 3 days. Like my wife, who has never, because she's a mom. So, you know,
Yeah,
moms
moms.
are built like special forces.
Yeah.
They're just like,
They
they go
Yeah.
into this like Kenya, you know, clinic over there and people are dying from Ebola. Everybody's wearing masks except moms.
except moms.
They're like over there going, give them some soup.
Put your head on my shoulder.
I'm trying to
Here's some
remember if my
Gatorade.
mom was ever sick
Here's some-
now. I
And
don't
then-
I don't remember that.
No, dude, like moms just, they can't get sick.
Yeah.
But my wife was down and I was worried because I'm like, I can't be down. And it was a couple days. It wasn't even bad. My wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm taking a tincture right now because smoking would require me getting up and shitting my pants. So I'm just going to stay here.
Yep.
And then I felt great all day. Then I'm up, I'm moving around, I'm able to eat. And these are the things that a lot of people want because if you suffer from Crohn's, that's
Oh, yeah.
horrible. My mother's husband back east, he has horrible Crohn's. He's disabled now because of Crohn's, gout,
Mhm.
all these things. And cannabis has been awesome. And he's in a state where he can grow his own. So
That's nice.
he's, you know, and I'm like, do you still grow? And he goes, I've been in a while.
What?
Yeah. They just go to the dispo, man, because the dispo's just, they've got like 7 near their house.
Oh, and so to your earlier point, you know, with you, yes. Are we going to get to your level of expertise or mine or
No.
Brandon's? You know, we're not going to get there for years, right? But we're just trying to, this is really the KindlyMD model, is we're just trying to normalize it. We're trying to say, hey, these are the things, this is the future of healthcare.
Right.
We're going to integrate behavioral health. We're going to integrate alternative medicine. People, that's what people want. We're going to combine these two models. We decided we had to go through the regulatory environment, the NASDAQ for legitimacy, the raising money, the insurance network, right? I know that there's a lot of people out there who don't like that model. They don't like the corporate medicine model, and they've got into cannabis to get away from that or to get around it. So we took a different approach. We just said, look, we're going to go through. I grew up thinking democracy was really great. You got to go through democracy to make the change, right? It's not a good idea to try to, to try to overthrow the government. to
Yeah,
make your
cause a
change,
revolution, right?
Which is, I think,
That's
a hot button.
that's a lot of work,
Viva
bro.
la cannabis!
Right?
Right.
So we decided to go through it to
Yeah.
make it happen, and that's what we're going to try to do. We think the generation that we're focusing on. I mean, really, we treat everybody over 21, but most of our patients are in the 35 to 65 year,
That's
age,
what
Yeah.
you see in dispensaries.
right?
Yeah.
And
All around outside of Utah, you go and you see all the plates are Utah plates, and it's
they're
all
Utah plates.
every time I go in, it's like someone over 60, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to him and he's like, oh yeah, me and my vet buddies or all these friends, we all pitch in and we come out and we pick up a bunch of stuff for us because
Yes.
it's cheaper. It helps with this and this and this. And
So it's 40% cheaper. So that Utah Department of Agriculture study that they
Yeah.
released in the spring
Oh yeah.
showed, right, that it is 40% cheaper to go out of state to buy your product than it is to buy the product here. It's not something
Yes.
that they like to talk about, right? It was kind of put
But
to the side.
everyone in the
their
market knows it.
presentation, but the patients all know it.
yeah,
Yeah.
everyone who's
Right.
like actually buys it, they know that it's half the price in any of these other states.
It is lower price, and they just proved it.
Yeah.
And 60% of Utahns who use cannabis are using cannabis that was not purchased here.
Yeah, that's a huge market.
It's a huge number. I did the calculations, and it's over $1 million a month
Yeah.
in savings that people are buying out of state have for buying their cannabis out of state. It's like $1 million. But that money's going to these neighboring states. So
Instead of our own market
instead of
here.
our own market.
Instead
So
of
what are
making
we
it a
gonna-
more...
How are we going to fix that piece?
I'm curious.
That's why you don't.
Yeah.
That's why you're
It's the barrier to entry.
you don't want to grow it, because like when you're in Washington, my sister in Spokane, right? Why would she grow it? There is amazing product for really great prices in 3 places within short
Yeah.
driving distance of her
That's
house,
true.
right?
You go to Oregon, all of those,
Northern
everything
California.
is crazy
Yeah.
cheap,
Yeah,
amazing product.
I mean, I frankly, I really don't mind my trips to these places because
Of
you're like,
what
oh,
they
I can
have.
get, I can get some really quality flower. I can get a couple of products,
Yep.
right? So with rescheduling, okay, so Utah, I mean, they say other states have this problem too, because when you're surrounded by states that are legal, you have a really hard time. The dispensaries don't want to lower their price because they're afraid that they're not going to make enough money to survive.
Well, yeah.
But on the other hand, if they lowered their price, you would think that it would increase the volume of
Well, because how many people,
consumers.
if they knew realistically, so like let's put in reference, like a 1 gram cart, we're usually paying about $65, $75 here.
Here in Utah.
For not live resin or rosin, that
Just
is
straight disty.
distillate with maybe like cannabis derived terps, if you're lucky.
Yep.
$65 to $75. I can go to Denver. I can buy a 1 gram distillate cartridge with cannabis derived terps for $12, maybe
yeah,
18.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at that and I'm like,
but
well,
definitely
12 to 18,
not 60.
no. And so it's like, you know,
Shit.
there's a huge market in that. And I'm like,
I mean,
Well,
sorry.
But here's the thing though, from the business side, they're worried that it's going to be a race to the bottom. And
Yes.
Yeah.
regardless of whatever cannabis business is here, they still have that mentality that it's if
well,
I go lower, then that means I'm going out of business. And because of their
Yeah,
fragility,
your revenue's just going to
Yep.
go down. You're going to do more work for less money.
I'm already breaking even as it
well,
is. Like,
that's where you get people cutting corners and putting in
right.
synthesized terps or synthesized cannabinoids. I'm even disappointed that I've seen a couple of those already in Utah.
In Utah.
That it was like, hey, this cartridge includes a synthesized cannabinoid. Okay, well, why are we synthesizing cannabinoids and putting it into our cartridges? Why is that even a thing that we're adding in here?
Yeah, there's no need for it because
Wasn't there this huge, I mean, didn't we have this huge Delta 8 synthesized?
Yeah,
bullshit
and they
thing
hated it,
in
and they were like, we don't allow that
before in
here.
Utah, and now we're doing the same thing again.
Yeah,
it's so ridiculous.
but it's in our legal carts and stuff sold at the dispos, at the pharmacies here. And I was like, what in the crap?
And then the patients actually have no idea. I mean, it is really difficult to have a really informed adult, straightforward conversation with a QMP because of time. And
Yes.
and there's really, I mean, and the QMP may not have a lot of experience with cannabis.
No, and
they're
they
very
have
new
less
to
and
it.
less now. As the dispensaries have worked towards these patient drives and driving the cost down, they've systematically put the QMPs in competition with each other. So we have seen, originally we were charging $250 for a new patient visit, and $185 for a renewal visit. We've gone to a $150 flat fee, but there are these events where you can go and you can get a $75 visit.
Yeah.
In order to do a $75 visit, you have to crush timing. You need to be doing 10-minute visits.
They move through fast.
They have
I've
to
gone
move
through them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've got to move through fast. So you're really not getting much education. You're getting a certification and then you're moving on. And then they're allowing, I think the dispensaries are thinking they'll do the education, which in my mind is sales.
Yeah, but
that's
again,
just another term for sales. But
usually if it's sales, that's not pushed by what the best benefit for the patient is. The
Yeah, I
sales
mean,
is
we
always
think
driven
so.
by the business end.
Well, and
so
that just goes back to the it's the fear-based model that they have for their business, is that if I'm not
Yeah.
pushing it, I'm not going to make money.
Yes.
And so how am I supposed to survive from, happy thoughts?
Well,
This isn't going to feed my
no,
family.
no, and not the
Yeah.
and the board members and the shareholders in
Exactly.
these in
Yeah.
these
All these
companies,
people
they
who
demand-
invested into it.
they demand profits.
Yeah.
And in order to get profits, we got to move the needle. We got to
Yeah.
move the revenue
We
needle.
got to figure out
Do you
what's
know
going
it
to
would
work.
move that revenue needle so fast? Realizing that 60% of the cannabis for our qualified patients
Is
comes
being
from out of state.
purchased out of state.
Just our qualified patients. Those
Yeah.
are the ones who are like, hey, I'm okay paying $250, $150, $75, whatever it is for a medical card versus going, hey, I'm going to do what I've done for years and I'm going to keep going out of state. I'm going to go to my plug. I'm going to, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and I'm
You
going to
have
utilize
break
these.
that cycle. You have
Yeah.
to break that piece.
And how do you do that when your market is 4 times higher, 3-4 times higher
Then you're
than your neighboring
your
markets?
neighboring
Or even
markets.
double,
Yep.
it
I
fluctuates
think there's
depending on
also
where you're at.
a huge amount of diversion happening in Utah.
Okay.
There are
Of product?
yes. So when I say diversion, I mean you're going down and you're picking up a little product and your sister needs some, right? Your
Oh,
sister's
okay.
texting you saying, "Hey, can you pick me up some Huga,
Yeah.
some Huga gummies?" And
Could you get me a
yeah,
card?
can you
Could
give me a
get
card? Can you
this?
give me a couple things?
Yeah.
I mean, that is obviously happening.
That makes
It's been
sense.
happening
Yeah.
out of state.
That happens
forever.
everywhere. Yeah.
No.
I'm going to.
You guys are wrong. It's
that
all
ma-
legit. Everybody goes in there and go, you can't touch my cannabis. It has my name on the
But see, that's why Utah is so
Like,
nervous.
didn't we start
'cause of
this
that.
conversation with sharing a joint?
Yeah,
Like,
dude, for
Wake
sure.
at the Grand Uniter.
Yeah, that
Now
it doesn't matter.
We're expecting you not to share the gummy packs.
Yeah, it's like, oh shoot,
Serious.
my friend, I hate them. I don't want them to be happy, and I know they like this product. So
right?
how do I say
Or
this
they need
politely?
to
But-
try it.
No,
Yeah,
you just
right?
have to be
Like-
surly over there going, look, I know things have been struggling for you, but, kind of sucks to be you.
Sucks. You
I
need
wish
an
you-
appointment. You need to do all the
Yeah.
things. You need.
Can I
to
see
then-
your card?
Can I see your card before? Oh, you need
Mhm.
to go buy this yourself because I know I bought a quarter of this flower and I only smoke about an eighth every
Yeah.
3 months.
Right? Well, it's like asking a buddy, hey, I know you're 21, but let me see your ID because I'm going to go buy beer.
Right.
Like, I don't know that you're 21. I need to see it before I'm allowing you to drink. Like,
Yeah.
this dude is 40. You know that. You
Yeah,
grew
you
up
know
with
it.
him. You know he's 40. There's
You
no need for
graduated
you to,
together.
like, why would you ID? It
Yeah.
just seems weird.
The funniest thing about being ID'd is going to Walmart and you buy some cold medicine,
Oh, yeah.
and this girl comes over like it freezes your station. It's like you're in TSA or something. Goes, the screen's flashing, going full body cavity search, and you're
I know. And I'm
Yeah,
always
like-
like, put my hands behind my head.
I
girl
need
comes
the
over and-
12 pack of Sudafed.
Mhm.
The 12 pack.
Right?
I
Can
just
you
got done watching
see-
Breaking Bad.
Right?
Right.
I want to prove them wrong.
This one box. Yeah. How
Yeah,
many
the
people
one
are in
box.
there
You
like,
can't buy 2 boxes.
Why is
You
this
can only buy
flagging
one
it?
box.
like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm buying one box of this. Oh, shoot. Are you old enough? Does it look like he's buying shit tons of stuff? How many trips would you have to make buying one box at a time
Yeah.
to make any effective, like, I
Yeah,
don't know. I've
in
never
fact,
tried.
No, I've never
Like,
never
I've
done
only
it.
watched Breaking Bad a
I
little
don't
bit.
dare
So.
take 2 of them at a time.
I know, right? And
Yeah.
something's going to happen. Like,
I'm
no.
so scared of that. So here's the thing that I want to propose in the legislation when they go to Schedule 3 in Utah is I want them to allow retail pharmacies to carry gummies and tinctures,
yeah.
Yeah.
right? Because look, that 62-year-old guy who just got his knee replaced, who has a card, he
He's not
he
going to
doesn't
smoke.
care about flour.
No.
He wants to go and he's
Or
picking
the
up
cartridge.
he's picking up his other medications at the pharmacy. Like, I think that would expand the market dramatically. And I think that rescheduling will help like make that argument.
Would that be a behind the counter product then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it would be still regulated under the EVS system.
Yeah.
They'd still have to have their card. They would just look them up. There they are. They have the recommendation. And then they can choose from these
Edible
you know,
or
these
tincture or
through-
whatever things.
like we're not going to have the whole you don't need the whole store in
no,
there.
it's a
You
couple
need
options.
like 10 you need like 10 options, a few tinctures, a few gummies, and that's it. They want to
Yeah.
use anything inhaled, go down to the dispensary.
Yeah.
You know, I was just thinking about, like, I don't know if they have this right now, but I know you can order online and you can have it sent to your home if you live within certain miles of
Mhm.
said dispensary. But do they have it right now where it's almost like a marketing model where they're taking all the cannabis that they bought over the time and then being able to build out a profile for them? So when they come in going, are you still dealing with pain? Are you still dealing with problems with sleep?
I think the marketing that I get has nothing to do with my purchase history. Has everything to do with me spending more money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a coupon
Yes.
on a product that they've shelved for a long time.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
right?
It's
It's
end of life. We
It's
gotta get
always
it
whatever
out.
sell
It's
items.
like,
I've
it's just
never
sale.
gotten anything on my purchases.
Yep.
That would
Yeah.
be. I believe that would make them
The
stickier.
problem, though, I mean, it would be a great idea, but I think the issue right now is the patient would have to accurately reflect the experience for that product back to the person who
to
it's
the
coming
person.
from, going, hey, I did like this one a lot. This one really helped me with this.
You guys
Versus
are,
like,
you guys are
hey, this one
basically
didn't do it.
telling me about my own data program.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Really?
Right? Because this is exactly the point, right?
It's
Like,
what
Yeah.
it
if you
means.
use these 3 things and you use them, so I'm a Fatso lover. Okay.
Okay.
Fatso is my pain strain. If I tweak my back,
Fatso.
I'm headed for Fatso. I've tried 5 or 6 different strains. It doesn't work as well.
Right.
For some reason, that's
Clicks.
the one.
Yeah.
Right. Really high THC strain, which is weird for me because I don't have that big of a tolerance. But
when you're in pain, it's a different story.
But that's the data that you want. You want to know, hey, are you still dealing with this? How's that going?
Yeah.
We need to make sure we're going to run out of this product in the next month.
Mm-hmm.
If this is what you use for your anxiety, then maybe this is
And
a
that
good
would be a
time.
good marketing of like, hey, we've noticed you've purchased this regularly.
Right? Are
That's
you
what I was
running
This is
saying.
out?
what's, but
I
that's
get
what
the
it
text
should be
message
more.
from the pharmacy saying, "Hey, have you run out of your topical cream?"
Totally.
Yeah.
Right? You always get that.
Or even
Yeah, I
offering
get
like
a reminder a week
subscription,
before I'm about to go
Yeah.
out.
like
Yeah.
a subscription model of like, because your meds, it's like, okay,
Well,
cool, you go in
yeah.
and they give you a 3-month thing, and then you go, talk to your doctor again, you get a new prescription, and then you
Well-
get 3 months. So why couldn't they go, well, you get this many each month, well, this month ended, now we're just going to go, hey, this month started. As long as you're set on their subscription model, they'll send you out the strains or things that you pick
Yeah.
on a regular basis, going, hey, yeah, it's every 6 weeks, it's every 4 weeks.
Yeah,
it's
wouldn't
Well,
it be cool if I had the app and I could
Yeah.
choose? Like, hey, you know how you set up your Spotify account or
Yeah.
your Apple Music account? You're like, what type of music do you like? What do you suffer from?
yeah,
What
yeah.
do you like to listen to? What do I use? Boom,
That
boom,
would
boom,
be
boom.
so
And how
cool.
you build a
often?
profile.
Because it could even be, how much do you use? Because
And
then
the-
it's, you'll need, okay, one
Yeah.
cart or an eighth
Do you
of
like
flour.
to buy
or,
live resin or,
Yeah.
or regular
Or-
carts?
or gummies.
What's
Well,
your
to go back-
income?
well, and before.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
go back to what you just said. Like, well, what is that going to be able to do long term for him? I think that's what you said. I don't know. I may be high, but
Nothing wrong with that.
no. I'm just saying, like, I like where this discussion is going because then it's focused on that person buying more
Well,
in
it's
a more
product they
organic
need.
way because now it's tracking it. It's sending you a message at like a few days after. Have you tried your product yet? What did you feel from that?
Can you give us a quick, we have 5 questions about
Yeah.
the
Yep.
strain you just bought. Have you tried it? Yes. How many times? Yeah. What was it?
Yeah.
This? Was it that? Putting
was your
that data
experience
set
like?
together.
Oh,
Is massive. But then you can also, because
It's demographic.
Yeah.
It's CAPTCHA.
yeah.
totally.
right.
Because you just got to build a profile.
Democratizing
Mhm.
the data entry. And it
Yeah.
only needs, yes. I mean,
And it's not
okay.
for sales, it's for increasing. And that's the thing too, is that I understand the idea of sales because you need to be able to get that product off. It's not that you just felt so great about their customers and you're like, you know what,
Right.
let's give them a break. No,
Yeah.
no.
Right.
You
no,
know.
I've been to the presentations where they introduce a new product to a dispensary.
Yeah.
Right. I was at one. I won't name names about who was presenting, but one of the growers was presenting their new products, and there really wasn't anything about there was no discussion about patient care.
Yeah.
It was about price point and about margins and about this type of high THC, low THC, these type of delivery methods, and it was all around just traditional kind of recreational adult use.
Yeah, exactly.
Marketing,
Right.
pitching. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was
100%.
here in Utah, I'm not blaming them for doing it that way.
No, it's
That's
just
what
the market.
That's all they know.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess
They're
That's all
familiar with. Yeah.
it's all the process allows. Maybe. I don't know. It's what the shareholders demand, I guess.
Well, but I mean, on top of that, that's just how it's been for
Sure.
ever.
Yeah.
And so now it's a big transition.
Yeah.
It's a huge transition for many people, especially within the cannabis industry,
Well,
because
yeah.
everybody else is just like, well,
Because like medical, here, the problem with medical is that medicine has to be consistently available. So the same
And we
strain,
know
same
it's
terpene profile.
no,
No, it's not.
No,
And so,
I mean,
like, that's the thing. If you could have that subscription or these things, 'cause
even the name, right? Back to this naming thing, we
Consistency.
might go down there and find out that, wow, all this time it's been a different name. I've been going out of state and buying pink
Something
Skittles, and I come here and it's named something else, and I didn't even know, and I've been having to drive.
yeah.
Yeah, the consistency is terrible.
Because like you think about anyone else who takes a medicine, you're looking for that same medication. You're going to
Oh,
take
yeah.
that same medication. You're not going, hey, it's a new week, a new month. What new medicine do I want to try? Like, I wonder what new medicines are out that I'm going to try for my
blood
ailment,
pressure.
my
shit, I never thought
my
of it that way,
this or
dude.
this. It's like, no, they are there for that consistency. So if there's not that consistency, how are they going to like navigate that market and feel safe?
yeah.
And so for all of these people who are looking at it like, well, you tell me this is a medicine, right?
Yep.
So is it? Because if so, why doesn't Utah actually treat it like medicine? We don't.
It's weird because it's in purgatory right now. It's
It
not
is.
heaven
It
or
is,
hell.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like we don't know what to do right now. We're kind of like in this time bubble where it won't leave
Well,
both
it's-
sides.
I think it's because, unfortunately, I think we learned this in going to that meeting that we joined, the political one here, was that the people making the rules don't seem to really understand.
Well, and that's the big reason why we went there, because it's just like, look, we need to give you not only a layperson's perspective, a consumer's perspective, but as educational experts within the space and having so many people listen to us all over the world, we kind of feel like we can have that voice for them, because a lot of cannabis consumers aren't going to go to that step going, I'm going to be there for that. They may
Yeah.
attend one or two.
And it was funny because that was our first one, and I was so shaky and so like,
Yeah.
I don't know what
Yeah,
it
the
it's
2
was.
minutes. Well, you see the 2 minutes comes up on the screen, and that is counting down.
And I've-
throwing your brain off.
I've
right?
never had a good experience in my head with like political legal stuff. Anything legal, I've always gotten like a big fist right inside my butt. And it's never been fun. I'm not into that.
Well,
No offense. Like if someone's out there, don't yuck
I
someone's
love
yums.
this.
You know,
Honestly, this is like I kind of like it.
I was
I kind of
nervous.
like the politics. My undergrad was
actually
in
do
political
too.
science, and
I enjoyed being
know,
like, but I was like,
the
I don't
intensity
know
is
why.
kind of a little rush.
I was
right.
it's
so
anxiety.
nervous with
Well,
that.
You have that anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the anxiety of it.
But this
I
is
don't
very
have that.
Yeah.
The only thing that sucked is that somebody was trying to call me, and I'm like trying to swipe it away, and I ended up ending my own call, and I'm like,
yeah, you
dropped
ended up
in
just
the
totally
middle
dropped.
of-
You
I
were
know.
mid sentence.
I know, and I was like, what a. They're probably like fucking stoner.
We did.
It was so
I
great.
watched it. They were like,
He just
he
just dropped?
Yeah,
they're like,
no,
is he?
that's-
They're like, no, he's actually gone. Like,
he's actually gone.
yeah,
Yeah,
he
I was
dropped.
like,
Okay,
ah,
it was so funny.
And then I came back on like, whatever.
Yeah,
But it's I enjoy that. I enjoy that
Yeah.
discourse. I actually really enjoy the argument of it, because I really want to understand their viewpoint. I don't
Yeah.
want to place
Yeah.
judgment on them saying like, oh, it's because you grew up in a white
Sure,
area
of course.
and
Yeah.
all Christian. Like it has nothing to do with that.
I was really curious because we had this.
Yeah, we had a deep
after
discussion
Nerith
before.
had told us about it. I was like, we talked on the phone for a while, and I was like, I honestly like. I understand if their fear is kids, like because that usually is what the fear is. But if it's not kids,
No, I don't know
like-
that it's fear. I think it's their
Uh,
reasoning.
their
argument
basis is kids. But that
Well-
still, like, again, the kids aren't buying usually the dispo stuff. And
No.
again, if they're going to get it, see it anywhere, the friends at school, it's all going to be legacy or black market.
And-
They're going to hear all the funny names. They're going to, like, it's all online. Everywhere
Exactly.
says it. Everywhere talks
Yeah.
about it. All the movies, TV shows. Like, they're not Pineapple Express. It's a movie.
I-
Everyone's heard about these things.
know
There's
what's
these
cool,
things
though?
that it's like, it's regular. You hear Purple Rain, like all these songs. There's these songs about cannabis. They're cannabis names, cannabis strains. Like they exist all over in society.
I didn't know that. Purple Rain is about cannabis?
Isn't it?
That's
Go
a
listen to the
Prince
song. Yeah. You have to listen to the lyrics. I swear it is.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe not.
But no.
Like,
But I mean, I think that's awesome. No.
Like there's so
I'm
many
just
songs that
what?
it's like they talk about cannabis and
No,
they
but
mention cannabis throughout there.
If you've noticed now, a lot of
Yeah, I gotta look
entertainment has not
It
gone
might be.
down the stoner mentality. It's talked about openly. You know, we're gonna relax. So we're gonna go have. There's a sitcom, if those even exist anymore, but there's actually like this sitcom where these women go to a dispensary to buy cannabis, and they've got two women there that are these moms, and they're like, I don't know what's going on. They're treating it like, oh, you know, this is so scary. And then you got the OGs, and they're like, oh, no problem. They go in there, nice kid behind the counter, looks like he works at the Apple store. And it is just this complete different experience. What they were trying to portray was it's normal, it's okay, and they've got a gummy for that. That's everything it was. It's like, oh yeah, we can put that in a gummy.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We've got a gummy for that.
Yeah, and they're like,
there's an app for that.
Yep.
There's a gummy for that.
Totally.
Yeah,
and that's cool to see that, instead of like what he was bringing up, Pineapple Express. I mean, it's just like, it's a stoner, and you know, he's involved with the legal activity, of course.
Okay,
you know,
so
is he
Purple Rain
Mexican?
might not be
Probably.
about cannabis.
It is a strain, though.
It is a strain.
But I was like,
It's
oh,
not
I could
about
see that with
cannabis.
Prince. He's sitting on his bullet bike.
But there are a ton of songs like actually about cannabis
Oh, of
stuff,
course.
and they talk about the strains in there.
Oh,
But,
totally.
yeah, I
No,
don't think that one
it's
is.
one of the, I mean, some of the best music out of the 60s and 70s came from cannabis.
Oh, of course.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
the Beatles, you
Well,
know,
even
the
back to,
Doors,
like,
Jimi Hendrix.
Duke
I mean, I know
Ellington
there's
and
heroin
stuff.
on there too. So
Way back in the jazz era and stuff, they
Oh,
talked about
totally.
they talked about reefer and like in all their
yeah.
songs.
Mhm.
We were listening to Frank Sinatra the other week, and my oldest was like, "Did he just reference cannabis?" And
how do you think he came up with those
and it's
songs?
like, yeah, it was. And we went back and listened to it, and it's like, yeah, that was a
Yeah.
cannabis reference.
Right.
And it's just same with like Duke Ellington, all these jazz players, and that. It's like, but it's been so ingrained in culture and society for
Yeah.
eras, like it's ages that it's been around. So it's
It'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
what changes this next phase.
yeah.
Right. So the
Yeah.
comment period for rescheduling just ended on Monday. So there was a 60-day public comment period. We submitted a comment, Kindly did.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, in support of rescheduling to Schedule 3, because we feel like it's a huge step in the right direction. Is it going to give everybody what they want? Nope.
Nope.
Not at
No.
all.
But that never happens.
Nothing
That never
will
happens,
actually.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
In fact, nothing will. That's
Yeah.
true.
There is nothing we will
Descheduling
do.
doesn't give everybody what they want either.
No.
Yeah. Well,
No,
no one
but-
will be happy with anything that happens.
Certainly you're going to have these companies with you're going to have companies like Cureleaf who are going to be bringing consistent product to you from other states.
Yeah.
So the consistency of product is going to improve because you're going to have interstate commerce, and that alone will change a lot of things for people.
Yeah.
Because quality all around will change.
Yep.
Even the shift of growers from like the West Coast out to Oklahoma and stuff
Yep.
changes a lot of grow, and
Mhm.
as we open more doors across the country, that allows for even broader ones. And if the people who know what they're doing, really know what they're doing, expand out to these other markets, it'll just really show, like, we'll have incredible stuff growing all around.
We really will, and it will lower. It will certainly. It should.
Lower.
If it doesn't lower prices,
Something is wrong.
something is seriously wrong.
Well, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like, I mean, if it, just like you said, if they decriminalize it, then you know who's going to be selling your cannabis to you. It's going to be Philip Morris. It's going to
It
be.
is. It's
gonna be all the big tobacco.
It is going to be these big companies.
Yeah, they
Their
didn't go
production.
away. They still
No, they're-
have billions and
Yeah.
billions. They'll buy them all out.
Yep.
And these small producing dispensaries, these mom and pops, are going to go away.
Yeah, a lot of them will probably
Yeah.
go away. You'll still
There's
have
always going to be
craft.
tiny
Yeah, you'll
craft
still have
stuff.
craft
will
stuff.
always
like
exist.
microbrews.
Of
Yeah,
course. Yeah,
exactly.
it'll become a lot more, I think a lot more like beer and
Yeah,
alcohol.
I could see
That
that.
would be cool. Oh,
Where
it'd
you're
be
gonna
so
have some
cool to
big
go to a hash
brands.
bar.
But
That'd be
I think
great.
even
would
if
be
Schedule
cool.
3, that would happen anyway, but
Yeah, I
not
think
more within a medical field than it would be within the recreational
Yeah.
side. But
Yeah, and it will open up the legitimacy of the medicine for a lot more people who are unwilling to do it now. But
yeah, they still see that
they
Schedule
still
1,
see- yeah.
and they're like,
Well, and they
"Ah."
also see it being burnt, right? I
Yep.
mean,
Yeah.
that's why. And you know, and there's it's really funny is that it's a gradual progression that they will have. They'll start at gummies, then they'll go to carts, and then they'll go to a drinkable, and then they'll go, well, I guess I'll try flower one time.
Yeah, I'll try it one time. You have that PAX 2 vaporizer.
Yeah,
Let me
right?
try that.
Mhm.
I'll try that.
Yeah, that looks
You got the
Right there on
volcano?
the beach or the
Take a little puff.
volcano. Yep, you've got a big bag, somebody has, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, well, I'll inhale that."
Take a
Okay, that
little
was pretty
tiny
good.
puff.
Yeah.
Oh, you say
okay.
it's not burned, it's baked. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yes.
Ah, good
Baked
deal.
lays.
I
instead
like
of-
baked
yeah.
potatoes.
That
Those are
sounds
healthy.
healthier.
Yeah.
So
Baked
much healthier.
Cheetos. I remember my old fat ass thought it was healthy to have natural Cheetos because it didn't have any of that fake shit in it.
That's
So
funny.
I put on like 20 pounds. I had knee surgery and my wife now, but girlfriend at the time, she's like, "What do you want after surgery?" I'm like, I was building my diabetes machine. I'm like, I want a pack of Code Red Mountain Dew and some natural Cheetos because I'm on a diet. Damn it! It was the
All the
worst.
natural stuff.
Oh, it's so natural. Like, love that marketing, right? It's
Uh,
baked, and I like it. I mean, yeah,
baked.
why not? It's baked. It's toasted.
Yep.
And now it changes the conversation. It's all consumerism. If it sounds okay, if it sounds like it's recommended, like they did during the whole bacon and eggs for breakfast thing,
Yep.
that was a marketing thing completely. And when that was created, all of a sudden these doctors started recommending you should have bacon and eggs for a well-balanced breakfast. And they were just trying to sell more bacon and eggs. That's it. It wasn't for health.
It's like the milk campaign.
Yeah,
and all
totally.
the other ones.
Yeah, the milk
It's just-
campaign.
yeah.
Totally.
I mean, I think it even comes down to gas appliances.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Everything, right? I mean, it's all for advertising. I mean, you can't see a Michael Bay film with Transformers with at least like 100 different product placements in it. It's ridiculous.
What
Like
they're eating and
Yep.
all
Oh,
sorts of things.
yeah.
the Mountain Dew machine is now a Transformer. Of course it is. Thank you, Mountain
Right?
Dew.
Yes.
But that's what drives him. I don't believe it's morality. I don't believe it's religion. It's consumerism.
Yeah, we're
Do-
very good consumers in this country.
100%.
It has
Yeah.
become.
That's why
it
if-
has become kind of our religion.
It really
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
I mean, but the
We're
thing
very
is,
devout.
but
Yep.
what's great
What's on
about
Amazon today? Oh, what's on TikTok sales? What's
Yes.
on?
I
Like,
have to
yeah, we're
spend 10
addicts.
minutes a day
Yeah.
studying my scriptures, Amazon.
yeah,
Yeah.
and thou
Or my
shalt
Instagram.
buy that. That's on
Yes.
sale,
Yep. Oh, this is a lightning deal. I should get it.
right?
So
We're-
Schedule 3 will change the advertising too, right? Because
Yeah.
we see a ton of
Yeah.
drug companies out there advertising
Totally.
their drugs, and that will definitely happen with cannabis.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why we created it was to be able to give cannabis companies, and cannabis companies are either really wary of being able to do any type of advertising whatsoever,
Mm-hmm.
or they don't
Restricted.
understand.
Or they don't have the budget. Because
Yeah, they just don't have the
unfortunately,
budget.
They are
Budget
not very.
compliance here in Utah,
Yeah.
you see it too. You have companies like Curaleaf that are very compliance oriented. They have compliance departments and people who are regional that are looking at compliance.
Yeah.
They don't want to do things that are out of line because
'cause
of
they're
all the
nationwide.
regulation, and they're nationwide.
Yeah.
You have all the way to companies like, dare I say, Dragonfly and now Wholesome, who are really pushing the rules of how to get patients cards and how to run QMP clinics. And I think we saw it with Beehive with cookies. They brought in the cookies brand, and
Oh, yeah.
the state didn't want that because
Yep.
had
It said
somewhat
cookies.
Association with. Yep.
association. So, where are you guys shopping now? Other than you don't have to disclose your out of state.
We do
shop.
Dragonfly.
We do Dragonfly.
Dragonfly gives us a stipend. We check out products there every month.
Nice.
Yeah, and we've been we went to their grow and we were really impressed. And
I
their
have done
flower's been
some
amazing.
Wholesome Co. I've ordered from Wholesome Co. just because I've loved that they just delivered to my house.
I've done
And I
Pura.
think your
We have done
Cure Leaf delivers to you guys now out of
Okay.
Provo. Mhm.
Yeah, we did it. I bought some from Cure Leaf in Lehigh. I checked out that store. I don't know if I've gone in Provo's. No, I've gone in Provo's like twice since it's been Cure Leaf.
I will tell you this though, as far as like the experience from all the dispensaries around here that we visited, I've really enjoyed Dragonflies because their bud tenders are very warm and they're very knowledgeable. And they don't say like if they don't know, they grab another person like,
Sure.
hey, they're asking this question. The buying experience has been extremely smooth.
Good.
And it feels really warm. I've gone to Cure Leaf.
It doesn't seem as warm.
Nope.
No.
It's
Yep.
very transactional. It's like I showed up to Best Buy.
I've heard that. I've heard that same thing too. Have you been to the Dragonfly in where is it? Price?
No.
Not yet.
Yeah, it's a little.
Where do you shop at here?
I've actually been shopping at Beehive a lot more.
Is that
Really?
in Salt Lake?
Yeah, it's in Salt Lake. It's on the west side. Yeah, I like the vibe. They tended not to have a bunch of discounts in the beginning of the program.
Yeah, that's good.
They tended to run a little bit of a, I don't know. It was they're like, look, the economics aren't going to work if we're going to discount everything, and we're not going to make it.
Yeah.
They've done this in other markets, and it's turned out that they have really good flower. They know what they're doing as far as flower goes.
Nice.
So it feels a little smaller to me.
Okay.
And that's why I've been, I guess,
more
going
pulled
there.
to it.
Yeah, I kind of pulled to it.
Yeah, kind of like a farmer's market type feel.
Yeah, it kind of feels.
Dragonfly's a drive because it's downtown.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the only reason we go up there, or I go up there, is because they give us a stipend. So I was like, yeah, I'd go check out their
Plus
products.
You're checking out their products.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you're talking about their
It's
products.
it's Utah products.
We have started to do on our monthly meetings. We have started to do a product. They do this at like Starbucks, right? Every meeting you have like a coffee tasting.
Yeah.
And so we've started to do this on our some of our meetings. We don't do a cannabis tasting because there would be people in my organization who couldn't
just
work
way
all day.
too high. Yeah.
But like, hey, here's a product. Here's what it does. Here's the profile. Because there does need to be more, even in our organization. Like we need a lot more education.
Oh
Because we're losing
across the
track
board.
of. There's so many products coming out. There's so many different types of products that you can buy.
Yeah.
That even the people
and
in
ways
the
to
industry.
consume.
Yeah,
See, and
we still need constant.
I hate to
education.
say this because I really love the diversity of product, but I feel like if it's truly medical here, I think that it should be a more narrow approach instead of trying to broaden it so wide.
Do you shop at Costco?
I do.
That's not going to work.
Because at Costco, you have a limited number of choices that are all quality.
Yeah.
That's the business model, right?
Yep.
And they're very successful.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very successful model. And I totally agree with you. I think that same thing with cannabis.
They should introduce strains
fewer
gradually,
choices
very slowly.
that are really good quality.
Oh, yeah.
Would be a better model.
I could see the rec side, and if they allow the other to be like craft beer and stuff, I see that area being totally okay. But for like a medical side, again, like, there has to be a consistency.
Yeah.
So like it's great to have new wild things, but again, how many times are you going, hey, what new medicine am I going to try this month?
Yeah,
Like
when you said
typically
that,
don't.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, you find strains that it's like, this helps me with focus.
Medical condition.
No, this helps me with pain.
In fact, the last vape cart I bought too, I had to choose something different, and it was so.
Because they didn't
frustrating.
have what you wanted.
Yeah, because I wanted this.
Yep.
I wanted like a Mountain Funk resin cart, and because it worked so well, it was good. It was perfect. Chill me out. Help. Exactly. It was exactly what I needed.
Yeah. And I hate when you go back and it's not there.
No, and I don't want to buy 3 of them.
No.
When I buy them.
Yeah, because then you're
I'll
like,
freeze
cool.
them.
Yeah, you're like, it's gonna sit there for how long? And like,
Yeah.
again,
Yeah,
medicine.
it's so well.
medicine.
It's like right now, like Banana Dolce 10 out of any strain I've ever tried, that is the best one for sleep for me. It is the best. And when you were talking about it, going, I want that one all the time.
Yeah, I want this. I know pain. Yes, like we
Wow.
were
That's
talking
what
about.
I
Yep.
want because I know it's going to help me. But then it changes too much. And it's because of this constant thing. It's the reason why I don't think it will be put in there because the dispensaries are still thinking like they're drug dealers. They're thinking,
Well,
I got
it's-
to get something new out there to make sure that people keep coming back. But I am
everything with
you.
Utah feels like it's medical, but it's not. Even though, like, even from the top down,
Totally.
like that meeting, it felt like they wanted to try and treat it like medical, but at the same time, their comments and thoughts and ideas clearly showed that they didn't respect or treat it as medical at all.
No.
And it's like,
Those meetings are very interesting.
I can
because
imagine.
The board doesn't have any power. The board can
Okay.
recommend, but the
Yeah.
board doesn't actually have any power.
okay,
And
that's good because they don't seem to have a lot of education within it.
Yeah.
And that's
Ooh.
the
Okay.
scary part is like, as long as it's not dictated and they're controlling it,
yeah,
you
they
know,
have no authority.
if they can make recommendations
But
of
they
like, hey,
can
this
make
is what we
sway.
think.
They do
Yeah, that's
have
what I
sway
worry.
in what is coming up. So the fall. So here we go into the fall. The fall is when the legislation. This is when people write the bill. Is in the fall. If you've waited till January, February to get something into legislation, you are a year too late. It's all happening October, November, December. That's when they're going to change the language. That's when they're going to start
Rewrite
working
stuff
towards
and-
stuff.
Yeah.
And so this is the period of time when those meetings will become a lot more, I think,
Impactful.
impactful.
Okay.
And they'll start talking about their strategy. You'll start hearing, okay, what's the industry strategy for the legislative session? Are they going to go towards marketing? Are they going to go try to get this piece changed? They've been very systematic as far as stepwise approach, increasing patient caps, allowing themselves to market a little bit more, increasing the number of pharmacies one year. So they had the 15th.
Yeah.
You know, all of these things were strategies that they were working on in the fall. and that will happen. And so with rescheduling, I think that changes their I don't know
View.
how there changes their view, and it's going to come at a time like, when does that happen? Does that happen in October? You would think that Biden would do it before he lets it go. I would imagine that it was in October. That's what everybody that I talked to is thinking.
Yeah, kind of a last ditch effort to get more votes.
Yep.
Do you
Right.
think
More people.
will
out.
it go through? Do you think it will continue, or is this something that will get pushed off for another later legislation
It's
as
a
well?
great question.
It's
I
been
think
brought
it's
up
gonna-
before many presidents.
It
And
has,
it's
but
been
it's never
pushed.
been this far.
No,
So
it
the
hasn't.
FDA last year saying, "Hey, we want it rescheduled." The DEA
true.
agreeing in the spring, and then allowing this public comment period.
There
It-
was a lot of
there
prior things that
isn't
haven't
Anything
happened.
to do except for the Department of Justice to say yes, and it's rescheduled. Like, that's it. We're down to the last bit.
Yeah, it hasn't
All they have
gotten
to do
that
is
far.
say.
Hmm.
And so that's like any time now.
So that's the
Now, from there, it has a shit ton of
Work
work
before
to
they can
do.
figure
yeah,
out
it
what-
takes a
how
long
happens.
time
It's gonna
for it to
take a
actually
long
be
time to-
implemented.
Yes.
Well,
It
'cause
can be
we've got
said, but it doesn't mean
so
like
many markets all
Correct.
over the country right now
Yeah.
that are
And how does our
all
laws
different.
affect? How are Utah's laws affected by
Schedule 3 placement.
Schedule 3 placement? Right.
it takes
We would
years
still have.
to.
Yep.
Yeah.
And on top of that, what's going to be the business? What's going to be the economic impact? Because it's
right.
not just going to be a positive. There's going to be a lot of negative in there as well because of regulations are changing.
Lots of
Yeah.
companies
I mean,
will
are
go
we
away.
going to need a $15 state fee because we're registering for a prescription drug?
No.
Right. That whole
No.
system can probably go
Well,
away.
at the same time, so why would a medical card be there? It wouldn't
Exactly.
be like a medical card fee.
You
It would be
wouldn't
you
need-
go talk to your doctor and it's a prescription.
Exactly.
like
then
any
it
other
becomes a prescription,
medication.
not a recommendation.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then it literally is just the cost of medication and your doctor's visit like any other doctor's visit.
Yeah. You want to be on testosterone? It's the same level.
Yep.
Codeine, testosterone, cannabis. Schedule 3.
Yep.
Get a prescription. Go get it done.
Yeah.
What is hemp? What happens with hemp?
That's an
Oh.
interesting. It's a gray area that doesn't have there right.
You know,
right
those-
now.
Yeah.
Those guys are freaking out.
Yeah, they're gone. But again, no
Well-
product is ever going to stay the same other than,
So
You think
nothing's
it's gonna
going to
be
last
gone?
as long. No, I'm
No.
saying, I think that the Delta 8 needs to go away.
yeah, I don't like.
I'm done with that nonsense. I don't like it, but Delta,
I don't know. I think if there
I'm
was
fine with
regulation,
Delta 9.
if they got good regulation around every product and
yeah,
quality control, there might be value in. Because remember, the company that made oh my gosh, I can't think of they came here, the THCA, THCO.
yeah.
But they had a Delta 8 cart that they had actually synthesized because he had done it on his own through their lab and that was, I actually
enjoyed it.
enjoyed that pen.
Well, and that's the
Mhm.
thing,
I would-
because it's just no regulation.
No other one though.
If I can buy it at a 7-Eleven anywhere,
You couldn't buy that anywhere though because they couldn't sell it.
no. But I'm saying what
Man,
they
the regulation would be big.
Yeah,
well, and on top
What
of
is
that,
the infrastructure to the regulation?
totally
would be
I mean,
insane.
you know,
I don't
the
get the-
industry is too far ahead of the testing and the
Yes.
regulation for them to catch up. The amount of infrastructure it would take the FDA to regulate all these things is,
would be insane.
and I think that's
'Cause
going to be insane,
To test that level of products, it would have to be something larger scale
right?
to actually accomplish that. Because right now, the amount of products that are on the market is insane, and every single day there's new drinkables, there's new like hemp-derived products popping up. Even here, like how many different we learned there was like 13 growers, and then 43 something processors that turned it into different products here.
Yeah,
And how many are each of them doing every time? Like, it's just,
it's
yeah, and
ass
they're getting
backwards.
it is ass backwards.
yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, and it's
I don't
again,
know.
that's why it's hurting the market. That's why the state's not getting what they want, and other states have already gone through this.
Yep.
It's their growing pains, and I know that the market here is as far as the business side, it's getting better. It's a lot better than a lot of other places, for sure. California, because it's just a little bit easier, but I don't know, it just teeters constantly, where you're just like,
yeah, you're
'cause
in the bubble.
totally. It's you never get to be able to see it actually come to fruition. So it's like, all right, fine. Be happy with that it's even here. And the only thing that's going to drive it even faster is just more consumers. 100%. Because the dollar dictates the bill that will pass. That's the only way it's going to go through. There's no revolution. I know that there's some really hardcore hippies this needs to be legalized. And I get it. I totally get it. But it's not going to make a dollar.
I would have totally agreed with you if we could go back to 1985 and we didn't have 35% strains and we didn't have all this fucking like high dose THC vape carts and these 100 milligram gummies and all that stuff. If you could eliminate that side of the market that was developed because it's illegal, I would have said recreation, adult use, totally fine. But now that you have all these really, really high dose products, and you do have an increased number of psychosis patients that are young because they're using high THC,
crazy
and
amounts.
they're like breaking their brain.
Mm-hmm.
Because they use insane amounts
Yeah, they
of
just
dosing.
use insane amounts, and they've already got these underlying conditions, and it breaks their brain. Okay, now I'm for regulation because
you've basically done what meth would do to you.
Yeah.
And you are going through this psychotic episode, and they're like, see, it causes psychosis. Like,
yeah.
no.
You're like, well, it only was that strong because it was illegal for so long that you made it. The growers made the THC higher so they could put more THC in a 50-pound bale and get it across the border.
Yeah.
Like that was the whole, it's economics. And you've screwed it up. And so now you're going to have to regulate it. And that's where we're at.
But that's cool what your company's doing. It's just being able to really push that side of legitimacy, because if now the consumers, because we're thinking about the individuals who have discretionary funds that they can actually spend towards cannabis, and that is your Gen Xers and your
you've got millennials, you've got Gen Xers, and the boomers. Gen Xers are kind of a forgotten generation as far as like the consumerism piece, right? So you really, and they have an interest in natural homeopathic healthcare. They don't like the system that we grew up in the
Nope.
top-down medicine. They want to have control of their own health.
Yeah.
They still all have insurance, right?
Yeah.
And they
Huge
all
market.
huge
Yep.
market, and they still need their cholesterol checked, right?
Yeah.
If you've read Peter Attia's book and you're like health span, you want to check your cholesterol, you want to keep your blood pressure down, you want to do all of the things that make sense in quote unquote like Western medicine,
Yeah.
but you also want these other things that we have been unavailable to you. That's what those are the people we treat. And there is a ton of them out there. And so
And
Yeah.
more and more people are open to trying different things because it's like, yeah, this obviously hasn't worked.
no,
How many people have been on whatever types of medications and tried all sorts of different
I
ones?
want to stop. How many times, if you have a nickel for every time you hear, if I just could stop eating a block of cheese every night when I take my Ambien, right?
Oh,
So
that's great.
your yeah, I mean, use a little. They want to use cannabis. They want to get off their crappy drugs.
Well, it's
Yeah.
the biggest the biggest thing that I see, especially when I go in dispensaries, like if you want to convince somebody who's thinking it's bad, and they're around my age or older, take them in the dispensary and just sit there and watch how many people come through, and you're going to
Yeah.
see grandmas, grandpas, old veterans. You're going to see soccer moms. You will see the occasional guy who looks like what's
A
his
stoner.
well, that or what's that? What's the singer's name that lives here in Utah?
Oh, Post Malone.
Post
Yeah,
Malone.
Post Malone.
Yeah.
He looked like Post Malone. The
Oh yeah,
face
you got
tats,
ones
all
of
that.
those. Yeah, you got a few. You got
Yeah,
a few of those.
You're going to get those,
Of course.
but the majority of them
Yeah.
are just regular, everyday folks that have
Yep.
finally been able to get some sleep. That they finally get some pain relief. Now they can eat because of the problems they've had with GI problems, and then they start discovering all these other things like, oh, I can be a little bit calmer, not a grumpy ass all the time.
Right. You are a nicer person, Jesse.
Yes, I know I am. I mean, I have
Especially
come
with
in,
cannabis.
dude. Like it
This
just
cheetah
changes.
piss has been fantastic.
Oh, cheetah
for
piss
it.
is great.
Yeah. Again with the names though, it's that weird thing that
Yeah, we didn't
here-
want to do the piss strains because we're just like,
Oh, the initial thing, it was like, oh, that's probably going to be really gross.
But then I
and
watched
we
this
tried
guy
it,
and I was like, whoa.
oh yeah, no, that's actually a really fantastic strain.
This strain is the most productive you can become.
Really?
It literally
Yeah.
is. But anyways, Tim, thank you so much for being able to come out, man. This is awesome. We got to have more conversations. Like
Totally.
we got to bring you back
We should
on.
come. We'll do a quarterly
Update.
policy update after we visit with the board.
Yeah,
every
yeah.
quarter.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and we
Don't
want
go in person because they're 3 hours long and you got to sit there.
yeah, that's what we realized.
The virtual is the way to go.
You can jump on,
Yeah, 'cause
jump
you can just
off.
put it in
be
you
your
can
there.
just put it
ear.
on the side.
Yep,
do
you're like,
your
okay.
work. Yeah, trust me, going down to those meetings are long.
Yeah, when we realized it
Oh.
was 3 hours, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be at home for that.
And a lot of times it goes all 3 hours. All 3
Jeez.
hours.
I was just telling him, he's like, why are we doing this like this long? I mean, this is ridiculous. I'm like, these guys are state employees. Like some of these people are state employees.
Yeah.
They're hourly. There's no salary as a state employee.
Right,
So
yeah.
they're like, oh well.
Because I was sitting there and I'm like, this
Put your
feels like a
jacket on,
waste
let's
of
go.
taxpayer money. This feels like a waste of time. Like these honestly feel like these questions and policies and procedures they're putting through are half baked at most.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting here going,
They are, and they're not gonna go, right. You've
Yeah.
got that. You learn a lot about like what the true quote unquote true science people, because they do have one person on the board who's the scientist
okay,
who does who like gathers the research, and she'll just come out and say, look, there is no evidence for this condition that exists in a way, like evidence that there's evidence, right?
Yeah.
For us, there's plenty of evidence.
But for them, it's anecdotal.
But for them, they're like, the way the study was designed and the way this
Yeah.
was, this
How
doesn't
many people?
qualify.
Yeah.
So it's nice to know, like,
Yeah.
okay, here's what you're up against. She'll like, here's the bar. You have to exceed the bar. When they were going after suppositories or lozenges
yeah,
last year, right?
That one I always thought was ridiculous. It wasn't allowed.
Yeah, the suppositories.
Suppositories. There was a really good
lozenges.
Johns Hopkins
Study
there's
for
a
it,
really good Johns Hopkins study for menstrual pain for
Yeah.
women
Yep.
and the suppositories. You see that? I don't think they've released the data, but they've released some of the results on
information.
social.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had a woman on who that saved her life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huge deal.
Oh, it's
Right?
massive.
That sort of thing is totally necessary. Like
100%.
this
yeah.
makes a lot of sense. So again, the data, the taking
Like, when
care
is
of
that used
people,
for pleasure? Who's like out there going, in this
"Hey,
state,
let's do this. Yeah.
again, in this state? Are they worried the kids are going to take these? Like, because the kids, I'm not guessing, are out there like, hey, you guys ever tried putting this up your butt?
Yeah,
Like,
THC suppositories, dude. Forget smoking and vaping, bro.
Yeah.
This is cool.
you guys ever heard of vodka tampons? This is next level
is
shit.
Yeah. Then that's how
right.
you're
What?
catching kids with it. Like, what's this little thing of Vaseline in this glove? I don't
Yeah.
understand. What's going on?
Yeah.
Like, that's how I take weed, bro. Like, wow,
Like, no,
we've gone
the
off
people
the
who
deep
are
Because
doing
yeah,
that
we've gone off the deep
need
because the
that.
breathalyzer.
Yeah.
Dude, thanks so much for being out here.
Tim, it's been
Oh,
great.
yeah.
We'll have information on everything with KindlyMD down below. Go give them some support on that one. This is really awesome. It's being able to bring this into the mainstream. Now
Yeah.
you can get grandma to stop giving you shit about it.
And you
just
can
take it.
buy a
Yeah,
little bit
you
of
just take her.
KindlyMD on NASDAQ. So,
Yeah,
You know.
KDLY.
KDLY.
Look us up.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's go. Thanks, guys.
Hey, man.
Stay safe out there.
Take it easy.